Hello and welcome to Differentials for Game Week 10. And because I'm a very obvious person, I like to give a lot of clarity to my viewers. I've already made 2 transfers this week. I've shown the door to Krejci, and I hate to say it, my boy Phil Foden. It's not his time, and the last 4 weeks have been quite disappointing in terms of owning both of these players post buying them on Wildcard 6. But I bought in Declan Rice and I bought in Gabriel, the 2 most obvious buys, I think, particularly considering I don't have any Arsenal players. Now, I don't have any Palace players still as of yet either, but I'll feature a couple of them in this video and a bunch of other players that potentially are getting overlooked by the fact that everyone's worrying about Palace assets and Arsenal assets this week. And hopefully I can provide you with a little bit of extra room or ammunition to find the players that you really require. If you enjoy this content, you know what you need to do. Smash a like on the video. Leave us a comment with players that you're considering or whether ones that I've just completely overlooked. Let me know your best 1 week punts as well. And if you haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing. With that being said, let's get into it. So differentials for Game Week 10, and look, there are a few things that we need to be just looking at in terms of just differentials entirely. There is no point picking a differential unless you actually think they're going to bang. And I literally do this video every single week, and I don't like putting people in that I don't think actually have the chances of returning. If I don't think they're actually good picks, I won't feature them in this video. So if I think they're just 1 week punts or really good 1 week punts, I might feature them in there. But if I don't think they're going to be good for like multiple games, they won't show up in this video. Just before I clarify that, based on like some of the thinking that I do. So everyone's obviously going to be jumping on the Arsenal and the Palace assets this week. Perhaps though, picking the lower owned players in those teams, particularly in defence for Palace or in the midfield for Arsenal, might actually be the way to go. Now, we are expecting potentially the Arsenal attacking assets might be better the next couple of weeks than the defensive ones, particularly if they're scoring multiple goals, which a lot of people are predicting. So maybe you can get a little bit creative here and not go with the Saka bandwagon or even the Rice bandwagon or the Eze bandwagon, and maybe go for someone, and I've got a really good one in here later on that I'm pretty confident is actually going to be pretty good based on what I've been seeing and just the minutes in general for this one player. Now, teams that are coming into good fixture runs or are currently in them: Arsenal, Chelsea, Wolves were, but they're about to leave after this Fulham game, Manchester City, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Brighton, and Manchester United. Yeah, you heard that right. Man United. I actually think if it wasn't for my own bias, and I was concerned that people would think I'm being biased, I would have actually put them top of the fixture ticker, of my own fixture ticker this week. I think their fixtures are probably the best out of every club in the league for the next 6. I'll talk about that through in a second. Now, the fixtures you should be looking at this week to target are Forest versus Manchester United, Brighton versus Leeds, Fulham versus Wolves, Burnley versus Arsenal, and West Ham versus Newcastle. They're definitely the fixtures to attack. If you're on free hit, that's where I'll be looking for your majority of your players this week. That's where I'll be targeting in particular. Now, it's probably time also, and I talked about this yesterday in my transfer plans video, to start stripping the money out of your attack. There is no value in the attack at the moment. I don't even know if Haaland's good value. I'm not saying he's a bad pick, FYI. He's probably the only forward you actually want that's being the most consistent at the moment. In terms of the rest, though, I think it's about how cheap can you go and then just spending the money in your midfield, in your defence, and upgrading that. Because that's, let's be honest, outside of Haaland, that's where all the points have been this season. It's not in the forward line. It's not even really in the midfield. It's actually in defence and then probably into the midfield. And then other than Haaland, the attack's been pretty woeful, let's be honest. Even goalkeepers have beaten most of the attackers, which is just, it's a sad state of affairs, let's be honest. So on to the fixture difficulty rating for game weeks 10 to 15, and I've updated it. So Chelsea remain top, even though I'm not convinced about them as a team. I mean, they just have such easy fixtures coming up. Wolves are home and Burnley away in 11 and 12, and then Leeds away in 14. Should be fairly nice fixtures for them. Now, Tottenham, I just don't know what to think of Tottenham. They're such a hard team for me to pick that I don't know what that game's going to be. Tottenham seem to be much better away from home. They seem to be really poor at home. So I'm not sure what to go there. Arsenal's fixtures look okay on paper. They're not fabulous. Obviously, this week against Burnley, fabulous. Sunderland away, I do expect them to keep a clean sheet as well because Sunderland don't attack very well. But outside of that, they're pretty middling fixtures for Arsenal now. But I've still got them at number 2 just because of the fact the next one in particular is probably one of the best fixtures you can have. Crystal Palace come from about 13th up to 3rd in the fixture ticket for me. They were also very close to going first. I'm just a little bit concerned about their European exploits and how that's going to go. Man United are sneaking up. They are into 4th now. And realistically, I was tempted to put them first because I think Forest is still a very easy team to beat at the moment, and I don't know how Dijkstra's going to turn them around. Tottenham away, I think the Man United will beat Tottenham. I actually think that guy's cutting his hair. I think they win 5 in a row. I think they win maybe even 6 in a row. Then they might come a little unstuck when they go to Palace away. But I think the next 6 fixtures for Man United, this is me getting a little bit deluded maybe, but I'd penciled us in for 5 wins of the next 6. Which will put Man United firmly in the hunt for a top 4 spot. If Arsenal start a little wobble, you never know. They're not in Europe. This can pay a big difference, particularly in what they do over those weeks. Newcastle still nice fixtures. West Ham away is an amazing fixture this week. Brentford away is not too bad, and obviously Burnley there at home in 15. 3 really good fixtures in the next 6. Brighton, they also have a really nice real run of fixtures there, as does realistically Everton, Man City outside that Liverpool game and the Bournemouth one and the Newcastle one, really. It's a bit of a... I just don't know what to make of Man City and Chelsea. They just really throw me off. West Ham I've still got there, but I feel like potentially I've put them too high. Fulham, I'm just not convinced about them as a team. Maybe they should be higher, but I don't think so. Brentford, I might have been a bit disservice. Brentford probably should be in front of both of those two, let's be honest. Sunderland, obviously the fixtures are starting to turn for them, so I'll be interested to see how well they cope with that. Wolves, obviously after this week, it's pretty much cactus for them. They're going to get relegated, 100%. Forest, again, it's hard to read them, so I've just put them there for now. Aston Villa obviously got Liverpool away, and then it kind of opens up for them, so they're going to be jumping up after this week. Same with Bournemouth. And then Liverpool, just a bunch of middling fixtures really outside of the West Ham. I know West Ham, Sunderland, Leeds looks really good on paper, but Sunderland's not an easy fixture. And then West Ham and Leeds, Leeds have got really good defensive data. West Ham might even have a new manager by game week 13, so you never know about Liverpool. They probably go up after this week. Spurs, don't know what to make of them, really, as a football club in general. And then Burnley, and I put Leeds all the way down the bottom. I think, all you have to do is look at 13, 14, 15, not 13, 8, 15. But those fixtures for Leeds coming up are awful. So they're at the bottom. So that's what, I don't know how I've got an 8 there. What on earth's happened there? I must have stuffed it up last week and not fixed it. That's hilarious. So one of the goalkeepers this week, and Roofs is the first one I'm going to talk about. Now, he has been unbelievable. He's actually the top scoring goalkeeper in the game. Who would have thought that? Sunderland's goalkeeper is the best in the game. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. So he's obviously had 9 starts. He's kept 4 clean sheets. He's averaging 3.67 saves per game. Yeah. And he's owned by 6.3%. Wow, there's a few tactical, graphical errors on these screens today. What's going on here? Got a little bit sidetracked earlier and obviously just didn't proof him quite well enough. But yeah, he's just great. And I think if you were going to rotate 4.5 goalkeepers, so for example, if you went Rovs and Petrovic, I actually don't mind that and just play the better keeper for whatever week it is. It's a way of saving some money, particularly from wildcard or things like this. But I think Rovs looks really good. Petrovic obviously has been really good as well. 9 starts as well. 4 clean sheets too. He's quite high up on the points tally as well. Not getting as many save points per game as Roofs, but 3 per game is nothing to laugh about. Even if he concedes, if it's only 1 goal, he's still probably getting you 3 points. So that's happened to me quite a few times already this season when Bournemouth have conceded the 1 goal. So I'm quite excited about that. Then we go on to Dean Henderson. The fixtures are no word of a lie, unbelievably good. 7.5% ownership, 3 clean sheets from the first 9. And Palace's fixtures for the first 9 were relatively difficult, let's be honest. But ironically, only 2.22 saves per game, which is interesting. So it's like he's not actually saving that many games. And the XGC, as you can see, he was actually the worst out of the 4 goalkeepers, 1.33 expected per 90. But he's had harder fixtures than the other three keepers. So with that run of fixtures, I would say we should be looking at least 3 out of 6 clean sheets for Palace, based on the fixtures, if they play how I've got them ranked. Then obviously we got Perry, 4.5 million again. A lot of 4.5 million keepers worth a look. Now, lots of people probably overlooked him, but he's had 4 starts for 2 clean sheets so far, and his XGC is actually the best out of all 4 of them. 1.14 expected goals conceded per 90. In fact, Leeds are actually, as a team, equal 4 for 5th in the league for XGC this season. So they're really worth a shot. Unfortunately, because they've been so good at preventing goals or preventing XGC being accumulated, his saves per game is really bad, 1.25. So that's not ideal. But yeah, again, he could be an option, and they're all low owned. So, you know, who's looking for a goalkeeper? I'd probably pick Petrovic if you ask me. Dean Henderson if you've got a little bit of extra money to spare. So on to the defenders this week, and it is a Crystal Palace defender to start off with. Now, there's a reason why we've got to look at it. Their fixtures are so good. So lots of people are looking at Gay, who's already 30% owned. Lacroix, I did look at, but he's literally offering the exact same as Richards. Neither of them have an attacking return. I don't think Lacroix has one. But, I mean, Richards should have had an attacking return. He's going in an XGI per 90 of 0.13. The XGC per 90 for him is actually 1.33, which is not ideal. And he plays every single minute. So if there is a late goal and a late clean sheet wipeout, unfortunately he's going to be affected, because I don't think he's been subbed all season long. Now he's going to 10.78 DCs per 90, which is really good. So he's literally got the extra 2 points on 5 separate occasions already. And he really should have been 6, because Opta updated it after the game against Arsenal, but he finished on 9 and didn't get the extra 2 points. He really should be on 6 out of 9, which is a pretty good effort for a 4.5 million defender. Now, lots of people say that Anderson from Fulham is the best 4.5 defender in the game. It's not. It's actually Richards, because Crystal Palace, believe it or not, are keeping a lot more clean sheets than Fulham will be this season. So for that reason alone, I think that he is a significantly better pick at that price range. Then we've got Trossard. Now, you're probably not going to buy him this week with Manchester City away. And lots of people say, well, you just get Senesi. Well, I looked at the points earlier today. So Trafford's about 9 points behind Senesi for the season. And he's closing the gap fairly quickly. Why is that? Well, because of the fact that he's actually got DC points twice over the last 5 weeks, Trafford has, while Senesi has started to drop off. He's also unbelievably good for underlying bonus points. So I think he's racked up 6 bonus points this season from the 9 games already. And he's only had the 1 assist. So that tells you that he's obviously getting into good positions, creating chances, etc. If Bournemouth keep a clean sheet and it's low scoring, there's a high, significant chance that Trafford's going to be in the bonus points. And for 5 million, sorry, not 5 million, 0.5 million less, he's a really good option. Only 2.3% owned. It is inevitable at some point as well that I reckon he'll start scoring goals or getting assists too, or more assists more frequently. He's just a really good player. The fact they got rid of Kirkes and they replaced him with this bloke, I actually think Bournemouth have made off with an absolute robbery. They sold Kirkes for an obscene amount of money and bought in Trafford, and let's be honest, Trafford looks a significantly better player than Kirkes does at this moment in time as well. So Bournemouth, the kings of buying and selling players, back at it again, let's be honest. Then we got Fiore. Sorry, I don't know if I'm saying that guy's name right, but I'm going to say Fiore from Newcastle. 4.9 million. Now, he's actually dropped in price. He's only 0.4% owned. Now, he's only had the 5 starts, but from the 5 starts, he's already had 2 clean sheets and 2 lots of defensive contribution points. Now, he's been incredibly unlucky not to return a goal or an assist as well. He's currently going at 0.21 XGI. Now, why did I feature him this week? Well, because he's playing in the centre of defence. He's got a really good XGI, and he's playing West Ham, who look unbelievably woeful from set pieces. So you could kind of expect him to keep a clean sheet and potentially get an attacking return. And I think that's really good. I think it's a really good option. So I personally think that if you're buying new, you can easily save yourself 0.2 million this week. Go with him instead of Dan Burn, and you could be rewarded. really could be rewarded. And I think he'll be good long term as well. It looks like he's found his feet. Newcastle playing him pretty much every week in the league. And the XGC per 90, 1.11 is pretty good as well. Then we got Rodon. I had to feature him. Obviously, he scored last week. He's actually his second goal of the season from 9 starts. So he's scoring more goals than Gabriel. He literally cost almost a third less than what Gabriel does. So 4.1 million. Gabriel obviously is probably going to rise tonight to 6.5. I mean, XGI, 0.09. It rivals Gabriel's. Like, the dude's a really good header of the ball. His XGC per 90 is obviously not quite as good as Gabriel's. It's up to 1. But his DCs have been pretty good. He's hit the threshold 3 different times. He's kept 2 clean sheets. The next 3 fixtures could be okay for Leeds, particularly the Nottingham Forest away one. But from 13, 14, 15, or 13, 8, 15, it starts getting a little bit dicey for him. So I do think that he's someone, if you just want to put a 4 million defender on your bench and leave him there, I'd actually almost go with a Sunderland one rather than a Leeds one, but I featured a Sunderland one last week and I thought it'd be fair game to give one to Leeds, particularly a guy that scored last week. So on to the midfielders, and Sarr remains at number 1. Somehow this dude is still only 8.5% owned, and I am considering bringing him into my own team myself. Now, why? Because the fixtures are just incredible. The thing that puts me off is obviously I'm going to have to waste. I've already got Mbeumo on my team and I'm going to have to transfer him out around the game week 16, 17 time when he goes away to AFCON. Now, Sarr's already been injured once this season with a hamstring. He also is going to be going away to AFCON, which means I would then be locking in 2 transfers into my team plus this one to bring him in this week. So that doesn't feel amazing. But I can't lie with the fixtures. I mean, if I don't go with Mateta, Sarr just seems like the no-brainer. Like 6.5 million, his underlying numbers are just as good as Mateta's, really, let's be honest. And he's already scored 3 goals. Mateta's, I think, got 4 for the season, so he's only 1 behind there. He's got 1 assist, and he's not relying on penalties for his goals. I think he's going to be great for what it's worth. I am concerned a little bit about Palace getting a little bit tired, which might affect their midfielders and their forwards a bit more. We might see a few more injuries. But he just seems like a bit of a no-brainer, to be honest. And moving forward, I think that that's all you want. You want someone with attacking potential that you could rely on, doesn't cost a fortune, and is probably going to return every other week, which is what I think he'll do. Then I've got Xhaka, number 2. Now, lots of people are looking for a cheap midfielder, and I'm currently looking potentially at either going a 6.5 million plus midfield line, which last year served me really well, or just dropping one to a 5 million or a 4.9 million one. And there are a couple of different options at this price point. Now, Longstaff is definitely someone I've thought about putting in here instead of Xhaka. I just looked at it and thought, this dude is a defensive contribution monster compared to Longstaff. Longstaff doesn't seem to hit it quite as regularly. Plus, he's had 3 assists. He's literally averaging an assist or an attacking contribution every 3 games, from a combined 0.13 XGI per 90. But he's averaging 12.22 DCs per 90. So he's literally getting you, on average, at least if he doesn't get booked, he's going to be getting you at least 4 points a week, which is exactly what we got from Bruno on the weekend at Man United. And we pay 8.9 million for him, and we can pay 5.1 for Xhaka. So 4.9% ownership. I mean, he's Mr. Reliable. I think he's going to be really good, to be honest. I do firmly expect that at some point he's going to score a couple of goals. If you can play him and get lucky with the weeks that you're playing him or bench boosting, whatever you're doing with him, he's a great reliable option. He's going to play every week and it has a decent floor. And that's pretty much what you want from that spot. Then we've got Kevin Shard. Now, he has been getting back to some form that we saw at the back end of last year. In his last 6 starts, he's got 2 goals and 2 assists from those last 6 starts. He was finding his feet back at the beginning of the season over his first couple. He's had the 2 clean sheets. His underlying numbers are pretty good as well. 0.33 expected goals per 90, 0.09 expected assists. He's not going to be getting your defensive contributions, but Brentford have started to look a hell of a lot better the last couple of weeks. He obviously scored against Liverpool. He got an assist the week before that. He's actually coming in some good form. And the fixtures for Brentford aren't brilliant, but they're not horrible. So Palace away, I mean, they could do something there. Newcastle home will be difficult. But then Brighton away, Leeds at home should be fine. Arsenal away is going to be very hard. It's very up and down. If you don't, and I think they've got Liverpool in 16 off the top of my head. So if you can get away with benching him 14 and 16, Shard could be a really good differential play, 7 million. Then on to the last one, and I can't believe, I had to double check that these stats were correct. Leandro Trossard. Now, people say you're an idiot, don't go towards Trossard. 0.4% ownership, right? But if there is a week where it's going to turn into an Arsenal attack, it's going to be against Burnley. Burnley away is the fixture where I get a little bit giddy, a little bit excited. And I talked I hadn't done the research. I didn't realise he's actually started the last 5 games and played really good minutes in pretty much all. I think by one of those games, he's played at least 80 plus minutes in the other 4. I think he's even had 3 90s in there. And the underlying numbers for Trossard are pretty damn good, let's be honest. 0.31 expected goals, 0.13 expected assists. I mean, he's got 1 goal and 1 assist from the 5 starts. Burnley is a fixture that reminds me of last year where he went mental in some of those games and got the goal and assist or 2 goals or whatever it was. The next couple of weeks, without Notty Madueke, with other injury issues, of people with Arsenal, Odegaard being out, etc., this might actually be the time for a Leonardo Trossard punt. It really could be. And I'm not going to lie, the other 2 free transfers I've got at the moment, I'm actively considering whether I'm bringing him in just for a punt. I don't know why. You know when you sometimes come across someone in the stats and you're looking at the things and whatever, and you go, you know what? That could actually work. I don't know what it is. There's something about Trossard that I really like this week. I really like him. I don't know why, but I'm very interested. I'm very interested. I might even go there for a couple of weeks play just to see if it pays off. Because if it pays off, my God, no one's going to have him. No one's going to have him, and I could actually make up some rank, which would be very beneficial, let's be honest. And onto the forwards. And look, I'm not going to lie, there are other more expensive forwards that I could have featured in here, like Jared Bowen, etc., like Sheshko, Strand Larson. I'm featuring all these blokes for one reason. They are all cheap. You can get rid of underperforming assets, like, for example, Dominic Calvert-Lewin or DCL unit, or Jared Bowen, or João Pedro, or Gyökeres, and save some money and just not be afraid to bench him in any given week, and then just spend your money in the defence and the midfield. Now, if you're basing off that, Creepy Jr. is probably a man. 4.6 million, 3.3% ownership. He's actually got 4 goals already from the 2 starts. So he scored 3 from the last 2 games he started. He's also scored 1 off the bench. He's still going at an unbelievable, unsustainable rate of 0.86 expected goals per 90, 0.04 expected assists. And the fixture against Man City isn't as bad as I think it could have been. I feel like Bournemouth might get something there. And I think it's going to be great. Obviously, it is a concern that Evan Ilson's probably going to be back sooner rather than later, and Creepy Jr. is probably going to find himself back on the bench. But I just think he's a really good shout. He's a really, really good shout. And I think if you want to, and I honestly, personally believe at the moment, the best team structure is probably Haaland, Creepy Jr., Mark Gui, and then spending all your money in the defensive midfield. I think there's more points on offer, more consistent points on offer, and more avenues to points. Now, if you want to not do that and want to look at a forward long term, Thiago's probably a man. 6.2 million, 6.4% ownership. He's now got 6 goals from 9 starts. He's on track to do what Wissa did last season. From the exact same price point. He started at 6 million Wissa and ended up very close to, I think, 7 by the end of the season. And I had a lot of joy with Brentford attackers last year, and I'm kind of tempted to go there. Like, he's one of the real transfers, again, for DCL unit that I'm currently considering in my own team. And for that reason, it just has to be, I've got to consider it. I've got to talk about it. 0.57 expected goals per 90, 0.02 expected assists. I mean, the dude just is ticking over. And at 6.2 million, you're not going to worry too much about benching him. It's not like you've got a João Pedro worth 7.5 or a Gyökeres worth 9. You don't mind benching 6.2 in the forward line. I never did last season. I benched Wissa a few times and other forwards that cost that amount. Then we got Danny Welbeck. Now, I quite like him as well, and there is a world where my last 2 transfers this week will be Bowen and DCL Unit to Thiago and Welbeck. I'm just less convinced by Welbeck. I know he's got 5 goals, 1 behind Thiago from only 6 starts, but it's the 6 starts that concern me, and the fact that he's 34 years old, and how long can he actually physically keep this up for, I'm not 100% sure. But Leeds at home is a nice fixture, I think. Even though Leeds' defence is really good, they are worse away from home. Their battering that they copped from Arsenal came away from home. But then the fixtures outside of that are all fairly good for Brighton. I mean, Crystal Palace away should be okay. Brentford at home, Nottingham Forest away, Aston Villa at home, West Ham United at home. It's a really good run of fixtures for Brighton. If Danny Welbeck can stay fit, he's really good. Again, 0.53 expected goals per 90, 0.08 expected assists. The dude's getting the job done. Like, he's getting the job done. And then if you want to go for one of the players that is in form, Isidore from Sunderland. So Sunderland obviously are relying a lot on his goals. He's scored 4 goals from 6 starts now. His underlying numbers are nowhere near as good as the others. 0.35 expected goals per 90, 0.01 expected assists. But the Everton at home fixture should be perfectly fine. Fulham away in 12 looks nice. Bournemouth at home is okay. But 11, you're just benching him. But the good thing is he's only costing you 5.6 million. So you don't care about benching him. So I don't know. I don't mind it. And the fact that Sunderland seem to be like a pretty good team and he's getting a pretty good run of minutes and stuff, I think he's going to be perfectly fine. So again, Isidore could be another option you might look at. But obviously, if I had to rank him, I'd probably go, if I didn't have Petrovic in goals, I'd 100% go Krupi Jr. and just save the money. But because I've got Petrovic in goal and I've got Senesi and Semenyo, Thiago and Welbeck, I'm definitely lining up for my own team. They just feel such good value with the points are actually returning you. And you need forwards that are scoring goals. Otherwise, there's no point owning them whatsoever. So, on to my Game Week 9 best one-week punts. And I actually got a return this week. So, Krejci didn't keep the clean sheet, which was annoying because it would have been a monster haul then. But he got 4 points. He obviously got the appearance points, -1 for the goals that they conceded. But he did get an assist in that game. So, 4 points there. Unfortunately, Anthony Gordon should have had a massive haul. He put 3 big chances on plates for 3 different players, and all 3 of them were sent back to the kitchen with a full plate on it still. Desperately unlucky. On another day, that would have just come in massively. It did not. Ahmad didn't do much in this game against Brighton at all. Got the clean sheet point, obviously, so he got 3 points there, but it was probably a more disappointing game. It was more about the other side of the field. Cunha was on fire, who I did feature in the differentials last week, and Bumo was just unbelievable, and Bruno was just running the show. He was a bit quiet. But again, he's not a bad pick moving forward. He should be pretty good as well, I reckon. And then the DCL unit, look, this was just a throw a needle in a haystack and hope something sticks. Because that's what it was. That's what it was by bringing him into my own team, and I went with him as a one-week punt. But this week, I'm going a lot more intelligently with my one-week punt. So let's find out what I'm thinking for Game Week 10. So remember, they've got to be about the 10% ownership to feature in this. So look, I am going Burn. I'm going Dan Burn. I can't believe we've actually got Ahmad again. I didn't realize I had Ahmad twice in a row. My apologies. I don't know what's going on there. I think this is a game where Ahmad's going to do really good, which is why I picked him. I actually didn't even notice that until it's just flicked up just then. So, Dan Burn screams points this week. He's playing West Ham, who are awful. His XGI per 90 is actually, I don't know what's going on there. It's not 2.03. It's meant to be plus them. I think it's meant to be 0.04. I know what it is. It's meant to be 0.03. I don't know why the 2 is in there. I must have been typing madly on the keyboard. So, again, my apologies. But his XGC per 90 is elite. 0.82 is just ridiculous. It's up there with Arsenal's defence. Now, he's obviously got the 5 clean sheets. He's not probably going to get the defensive contributions against West Ham, but potentially, with Jared Bowen getting a lot of the ball, potentially he could. But we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. But it's the excitement off the set pieces that has me excited. Like, Big Dan Burn could easily score ahead of this week against that West Ham team, and he could be on track for a 15-pointer. So, I'm throwing a Hail Mary. 1 week punt there. Dan Burn, he is in my own team. I think he could be really good value and a great shout. Then I'm going with Doku. Now, why? Because I think that the weakest spot in that Bournemouth team is on the right-hand side of their defence. Based on what I've seen from them so far this season. Now, if Man City are going to have some joy, I believe it will be down the left-hand side. Now, I did think about doing Marmoush instead of Doku here, but I just thought that Doku is probably fitter and Marmoush is probably scheduled to start in the Carabao Cup midweek. So for that reason, I think Doku will start on the weekend. That's just a pure guess. I'm just trying to play pep roulette in my own head. But I think potentially Doku could be really good here. And with that, expected assists, expected goals, I could see a couple of assists for Doku this week against Bournemouth. I could also see them blanking against Bournemouth as well, if I'm being honest. But for a 1 week punt, I don't mind it. Moving forward long term, I don't like it. But I just feel like Bournemouth might be able to be got at away from home this week. And I think Doku could be pretty good. Then that brings us to Ahmad. Now, I thought he actually played all right against Brighton, but he wasn't very involved from an attacking sense. Against Nottingham Forest, though, I expect him to be very involved from an attacking sense. He, again, is going down the weaker side, I would say, in the defence. I just don't rate Nico Williams that strongly as a defender, if I'm being brutally honest. He's much better going forward than he is defending, and I think Ahmad could exploit him, and he's due a goal. Like 0.3 expected goals per night, 0.16 expected assists. He's literally averaging a goal involvement, even though he hasn't got it yet, 1 every 2 games. I think he's going to be great this week and for a number of weeks. And it looks like he's finally nailed down that spot as well. So he might not just be a 1 week punt. If you want to save a little bit of money, invest in a second Man United attacker, Ahmad might actually not be a very bad shout at all. And then for a 1 week punt, I mean, you've got to look at the 2 teams that are playing the worst teams in the league, which are Wolves, Burnley and West Ham. Now, Walter is obviously 22% owned. Yokres is obviously, I think, about the same amount owned. So I can't pick them. It's got to be under 10%, remember, or around that 10% mark. Who's playing Wolves this week? Raul Jimenez is. 0.9% ownership, 6.2 million. I mean, the underlying numbers this season for him haven't been fabulous. 0.34 expected goals, 0.01 expected assists. We do expect him to be on penalties if Fulham happen to win one. And Wolves, let's be honest, have been pretty damn woeful. I actually think Raul Jimenez is a really good shout as a forward 1 week punt. If you're on a free hit, I'd be pretty tempted to include him in a free hit draft. Based on that, I think he's going to be really good. As a 1 week punt, I don't think you can go too far wrong. Just pick a player that's playing against Wolves, West Ham, or, who's the other one now? Wolves, West Ham, and Burnley. You're going to be pretty much sweet. Let's be honest. That's just facts at this moment in time. So that brings me to the end for my differentials for game week 10. Let me know whether I'm barking up the wrong trees, which ones take your fancy, which ones hadn't you thought about. Are you like, oh my God, I forgot about Trossard, he could be a really good shout, like I'm thinking currently for my own team? Please let me know, because I don't know if I'm barking mad or if I'm actually intelligent or not at this moment in time. Again, if you enjoyed that, smash a like on the video, leave us a comment, and if you haven't already smashed that sub button, please consider doing so. With that being said, hope you've enjoyed that. I've been the D-Unit. I'll see you tomorrow for transfer tips. Catch you then.